specifically for the government.
Yes, under a obvious government facility.
Well, but if you're building a 300,000
I didn't
square
build
foot,
it. I didn't build it.
Anybody.
Yes.
I mean, it's hard to keep that a secret, right? You got huge amounts of equipment and manpower.
Not if you were building an above ground structure that took in 4 or 5 square miles. And this was just a part of it, right underneath of it.
Then it could be blended in with the regular work and nobody would pay attention to it.
If you're building a major metropolitan airport, think how easily it'd be to build in underneath of it.
Are you giving us a hint?
That's a hint right there.
14 stories underground has been given a cryptic clue to the 2012 conspiracy. The largest underground survival bunker built by the U.S. government under a major U.S. airport. Jesse's got
Welcome back, everybody. You have emailed about this since yesterday. We promised it yesterday. We got cut off because of the mess on Capitol Hill. But it could be the world's most powerful natural weapon of mass destruction. Yellowstone National Park, we know it's beautiful. It's also home to one of the world's few supervolcanoes. If it erupts, scientists say it'd be more powerful than 60 million atom bombs. It could wipe out up to 60% of human life on Earth. Oh, it gets better, including the entire U.S. continental United States. Here's the catch, though. There have been 500 small earthquakes in Yellowstone since the 26th of December. A signal possibly of a bigger, more devastating explosion, maybe to come. Dr. Michael Rampino, volcanologist from New York University. Nice to see you, Doctor. Good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
What do you see earthquakes we've been noting since the day after Christmas?
Well, it certainly made us all sit up and take notice that something's going on in Yellowstone. It's known as a restless volcano. And people don't realize when they go to Yellowstone National Park that they're sitting inside the cauldron, the crater of a big supervolcano that's erupted a number of times in the past. Eruptions that are massive, hundreds to thousands of times the size of the Mount St. Helens eruptions of 1980.
Wow, not to age ourselves here, but what happened in Yellowstone 600,000 years ago?
Well, the whole park would have been, area would have been devastated. The eruption magma coming out of the volcano, ash being blasted up into the atmosphere, devastation out to tens of miles or more from the volcano itself, and hundreds of miles of ash fallout, a blizzard of volcanic ash falling out over the central United States, the breadbasket of the United States. So you might expect that agriculture, if this thing happens again, that agriculture in the United States would be in serious trouble.
Now, Doctor, is this realistic? Are we just scaring people out there? I mean, because people are writing in, they're thinking we're talking about Armageddon here. Everybody, the sun, it's the source of all life, and it could mean the end of life as we know it. NASA did a study, and its findings are now out. We're not talking about global warming, a brand new government study on the very real destructive threat of solar storms. Check it out, the surface of the sun, a roiling mass of plasma and charged high-energy particles. As we move to the launch pad, we can show exactly what we mean, escaping the surface of the sun and traveling through space to areas down here on Earth. Now, this giant fireball, if that ball hit the Earth and its magnetic shield, it would be devastating. I want to show you New York City at night. Times Square, drove through here at 8 o'clock last night. Streets are empty, but the electric power grid would be wiped out by the current. Lights and computers, transportation, hospitals, all would go down. The study warns it would be a disaster, far worse than anything we have seen before. The menace of these sunstorms poses a bigger threat to more high-tech and advanced countries like the U.S. Everything from our sewage systems to our Wall Street banks operate with our power grid. And a game-changing solar storm that could hit at any time. So how worried should we be? Sounds like we should be.
Prophecies of the Pharaohs, hidden in plain sight. In this ancient wonder, a mathematical code foretelling doomsday. In this lost book, a warning of a destructive force beyond Earth. In these cryptic symbols, a message that our time has run out. This last remaining wonder of the ancient world was built 45 centuries ago. Historians have always believed it is a royal tomb, but some theorize it is much more. A doomsday calendar. Encoded in its architecture, they say, is a timeline that ends ominously in this decade.
Is it trying to reach out from the ancient past and talk to us, or warn us, or give us some advice, or guide us?
But the Great Pyramid may be just one expression of this purported prophecy. Some believe these hieroglyphs, from a text called the Book of the Dead, also foretell that our end is near. And some accept the existence of a third prophetic source, a recently rediscovered document called the Qumran Bible. Some interpreters believe the ancient Egyptians foretold a nuclear holocaust. Others, a cataclysm caused by a force beyond our solar system in 2012. They agree that the prophesied end is imminent.
The ancient voices are talking to us, desperately talking to us. What they're telling us is to be aware of the harbinger signs.
What exactly do the ancient Egyptian prophecies say? And in what ways do they resemble end-of-day prophecies of other cultures throughout the millennia? Those of the Mayans, the Hopi Indians, and the best-known seer of all, Nostradamus. Perhaps the most extraordinary claim concerning prophecies of ancient Egypt. In these hieroglyphs, they see a warning of a disaster far different from a nuclear nightmare triggered by 9/11. If they are right, a celestial body 91 million miles from Earth will unleash a final global cataclysm. According to some, the Great Pyramid is a calendar of doomsday, warning that the end of days is near. But others believe it is not this monumental structure that conveys the Egyptians' prophecy, but these tiny symbols. Could these hieroglyphs hold a coded message specifying how our end will come? Some claim the symbols from a revered Egyptian text speak not of a nuclear holocaust triggered by 9/11, but a celestial disaster. Additional texts reveal that the Egyptians believed the moon, sun, stars, and planets dictated man's fate on Earth.
They didn't observe the celestial bodies for scientific knowledge. They used them to create calendars, they used them to time, they used them in the desert for directions. They believed that these celestial bodies were deities, and to them it was the stars and the position of the sun that imposed and regulated events on the ground.
Some researchers believe the hieroglyphs warn of a cyclical event that the ancient Egyptians survived thousands of years ago. They theorize it was a catastrophic phenomenon triggered by the sun, so destructive that only a handful survived. Those who believe this theory say the clues begin with how the Egyptians used astronomy to understand their place in the cosmos. One constellation above all was central to their perception: Orion.
The reason the Egyptians were very focused on this constellation was because, apart from it being bright and attractive, it would rise at dawn just before the flood. To them it was a reassuring sign because the Nile flood was on its way.
Ancient Egypt relied on the flooding Nile to power the agriculture it needed to survive. This led the Egyptians to link Orion with their god Osiris, who controlled all matters of life and death. This made the constellation a likely place for the Egyptians to look for signs of a coming apocalypse. In Egyptian mythology, Orion's linkage with death also made it a destination for a pharaoh after he died. Most historians believe the pyramids